Hey, hey, hands up! Lay some diet. Feet hit the trail. Heartbeats race. Dust on my jacket. Wind in my face. Not about to finish. It's who you find along the way. Every blister, every sunrise, every hot and beautiful day. Head first into the unknown. Let's go chasing trails, yeah. Chasing trails, yeah. Every mud pit, every stone we're gonna run in.
All right, welcome in, everyone. It's another episode of the Chasing Trails podcast. Jeff and Brandon here with you. Chasing Trails is brought to you by our friends at St. John Trail Running, Funny Coast Counseling, and Resilience Through Fitness. Big shout out to those guys. Always appreciate their help with the podcast.
Mhm.
Jeff, it's been a minute since we chatted. How you making out, man?
Another week has gone by, so that's about it. Life's just the same. There's not a big crazy update here. I haven't ran since Rockwood Park, and I'm still percolating on my life choices and what I want to do or how I want to structure my training next.
Yeah.
Adam seems very open to being flexible with me, which is kind of him because I've just left him hanging, didn't even answer any of his questions. So it's a good thing he's a patient counselor type dude because he probably
Yeah.
would have written me off otherwise
Yeah.
by now. So we're going to work through that. I'll percolate through my thoughts, but no, nothing crazy. Just been really busy. Actually, contractors showed up again this week and late last week to do some more work on my landscaping projects. And funny enough, like I assumed I'd get a little bit of warning that they were, coming. And so there was like a side deck that I was supposed to be demoing and getting rid of. And then my other deck as well. So we can get the landscaping done and then build a new deck. Anyway, and I got a call one day at work and they're like, yeah, we're going to be there tomorrow morning. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll go home a little bit early today from work and get some work done around the yard and then spend the night, doing my thing, getting work done around. I'll have no problem getting it done. Anyway, I get home and I'm not out there a half hour and I hear the beep of a dump truck backing up. I'm like, is that my yard? So I go around the front and sure enough, there's a dump truck backing up my yard. And I was like, I thought you guys were coming tomorrow morning. He's like, oh no, we're bringing 4 loads of soil tonight. I was like, good. Can you get around the deck that's in the way? He was like, oh yeah, I'll just back in over there. I was like, okay, fine. Anyway, he was really good with the dump truck, and obviously those guys know what they're doing. And everything was going great until the next morning when they buried 2 dump trucks in my backyard. So they found the only soft spot in the whole place, and they buried 2 dump trucks. They did get them out, and so that was good. They didn't have to bring a wrecker, and so I think my bill probably won't increase too much. But
That was great.
yeah, so just been really busy with stuff like that, but I think we got two projects and a pool left, so we're almost at the end of the year-long house renovations that have been happening. So
Light at the end of the tunnel.
the other time, and mostly like the house hasn't changed that much. Unfortunately, it's mostly been yard work. And like you can't see the septic that they put in because it's buried. So now I need to plant a whole acre worth of grass basically. And so like it's kind of almost depressing to think about the amount of money that's gone out the door and you really can't see the benefits of it except your toilets flush good and stuff like that, which is great.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, there's been but the next project will make a significant difference because it's a significant change to the front of the house. So anyway, yeah, so it's good. It'll be nice to see some positive change.
Yeah. Unlike you, I did get some running in, but not very much. I did get a little bit of running in with Catherine. After romping, the intro group went back to Rockwood.
Right.
And so I was back
4 days later.
Not even like a week later, and I'm back on the same trails I was on, and I was just having so much like regret doing it. It was my grumpiest run yet, I think. And I was just like, can we just get through this? Like, I just wanted to get through it so quick, but we managed to make it through, and none the worse for wear. But my goodness, I've had enough of that place for a little while. I need to have
Except we're going back in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're right. We are going
East Coast,
back
Beast
in
Coast.
2
Just
weeks.
as you were just saying that, I realized I haven't registered any of my kids for East Coast, Beast Coast yet, and that's the end of June. So
Yeah, it's coming right up, and it's already the biggest East Coast, Beast Coast yet. So You
So
better
there'll be
get her in
4
there quick
more
enough.
added to that. Are you registered yet? Did you register?
Yeah, we register when you sign up for the intro group. You get
Oh, I didn't know if
registered
you
for that.
officially signed up for the interest group or you were just kind of tagging along.
Yeah, maybe I should double check that.
Yeah.
I better double check that.
Mark will hear this on Friday and he'll
Yeah,
take care of it.
I better make sure because I definitely signed Catherine up, but I don't know if I signed myself up. So
Right.
I better do that.
Yeah, you let me know. We'll because I
We'll
need
get
to
it figured out.
do that for myself as well.
So it's fun chatting with all the intro people and just having a chance to talk about Rockwood because it's really like one of the harder spots that we run, and we're almost done. So this week marks the last official one. We'll be at Irving Nature Park for the big party, the graduation party, and so that should be a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
And hopefully we'll have some cake at the end. It's always a good day when you have some cake, so hopefully we can get that in there. And then we'll be all set for the next one. But it's gonna be a big weekend though, Jeff. You know why? Because the Keji Backyard Ultra is going on this weekend.
Yes, sir.
And I think there's gonna be some big distances put up for this one. I think it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to hear.
We
need like a little insider. We need an insider to keep us updated on how things are going.
If we were smart enough, we'd go down there and be our own insiders, but we never do. Do some live.
We never do.
Although we can't do live posts on Instagram anymore because we don't have enough followers.
Yeah, that's right. We don't have enough followers.
We got to get to 1,000 so we can go back to doing live posts again.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. So folks, if you don't follow Chasing Trails Podcast on Instagram, would you please go do that so we don't look like a bunch of idiots? Well, I mean, other than how we normally behave, but
make a couple ghost accounts and follow them too.
Sure. Yeah, that's right. Give us the spam accounts. We'll follow the spam accounts and just let it go. We just need to build this thing up a little bit more. So
Jack and Laura's house building account followed us, so that gave us one extra.
That's right.
And you all need to just make up some new accounts and follow Chasing Trails. We don't need new people. We just need the same people we have with different accounts.
Right. Right.
Yeah. We got former interviewees on the show. We got Tyler Isbister, Lee Murphy running in the Keji Backyard. So those boys should put up some big numbers, hopefully. Shout out to them. Hope they do well.
And we've got Nicholas as well, who Wayward Runner.
Running it too? There you go.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's in that one too. So you've got a pretty good group of runners in there already. Yes, and there's always the dark horses that we don't recognize or don't know. And so I think it could be a really cool weekend. Weather's supposed to be great too, so hopefully it'll be a fun weekend for everyone down there. And I know Jody's gonna throw it together and make it really a great event. So we'll be keeping track of that on I don't know, Instagram. I think is how we follow a lot of those details. So hopefully if you're listening to this in Nova Scotia, you'll keep us updated so we can see how things are going. But
tag us in your posts.
Yeah, we'd love to hear that. We'll share it. We'd love to be able to talk about it too. So that's going on. Big racing season is upon us now. So we're full blown into things. But today, Jeff, to change gears, we have Jesse Wright, who is the Uptown Fridge guy. I think he's really taken the St. John trail running, group by storm. Because he's showing up at 2 different events with carrying this big fridge and running these trails with a fridge on his back. And obviously it makes us ask a lot of questions and, like why, and come to find out that it's all about raising awareness for poverty and food insecurity around the Uptown St. John area. And so for those of you who aren't from St. John or aren't from New Brunswick or listening elsewhere, there's some major problems with food insecurity in Uptown St. John. And so he's raising awareness for that. And it's a really great interview. And we hope that you'll be able to enjoy some of it and be able to help support in whatever way you can, because it's a great cause and he's doing his best to raise awareness for a big issue. So I think that's all we got to talk about, Jeff, before we throw it over to the conversation. So here's our conversation with Jesse. Welcome into the Chasing Trails studios. We are thrilled to have with us the fridge guy, Jesse Wright, as we know him, the fridge guy. For those of you who aren't in our local trail running scene, let me just start off by saying this is a local St. John phenomenon, but it is such a cool story and a cool part of the trail running scene right now that we just had to have Jesse on the show. So thanks for coming on, Jesse. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, the cat's coming on too.
Yeah, cats are cats are encouraged by some and discouraged by others on this podcast.
Yeah.
So it'll
Well,
be,
She
you've got to
she gets
split
she
right
gets
down the
popped
middle.
out quite a bit. It. All right.
Yeah, fantastic. What we do, Jesse, we always start off when we have a guest, we always ask the same question every time. Like, how did you get into trail running? Is this something fairly new to you, or has this been a part of your story before? Like, where did you get into trail running?
In St. John, it started a few years ago. So I've always been a hiker and a camper. My father and I always used to go camping, winter camping, summer camping. We do a lot of trips. And then when I got here, I learned about the footpath, which I was excited to actually get back out into some trails because it had been quite some time. And I feel like the lore changes every time, but this all started originally 3 years ago. I quit drinking to start training to run the Fundy footpath in one go. And I had heard about guys like Mark Hemmings who run it in like 8 hours, as a joke on an afternoon if they've got it free. So I thought, okay, well, it's doable. And then it honestly never happened. I was training and I got busy the next summer. And then it was last summer that the fridge thing came together. And when I started telling people I was going to be walking around with a fridge and I wanted to take it on trails, people started putting me in contact with everyone. They said there's the Fort Latour Park Run every Saturday morning. Alex Coffin and Lily Coffin do a lot of running groups in the city. They do the beer mile. They do this, that. And then I eventually got introduced. Someone brought up Bootstrap Boogie. And I just thought that was a really funny name, and I didn't know what it was. It was just a great name, so I thought I would go try that. And that's how I ended up getting in contact with Mark McPolgan and SJTR. And then, so that would be the growth of how that ended up happening.
Yeah, wow. It's interesting. What is it about the trails that you like so much? Like, what is it that really sticks with you when it comes to being on the trail?
Really just no digital stuff, to be honest. It's you just out there with trees and rocks and water and birds. I'm not checking notifications. When I started doing this, I didn't have so much as a smartwatch. The only reason I bought myself like the cheapest one at Costco so that I didn't have to carry my phone every time I went out somewhere. Plus it uses GPS instead of the phone towers, I guess, or however it works, but it works in the forest when you still don't have service. So besides that bare minimum of, okay, I want to track my distance, you're really just out there with your thoughts, which scares a lot of people. But I'm definitely one of those people that you could stick in a padded room for a year. And then when I came out, it would be like, hey guys, what's up?
Fair enough. That's awesome. Okay, so for those of us who aren't familiar with the whole fridge thing, why don't you start from the beginning and just tell us what was the genesis of that? How did you come up with this idea to run around with a fridge on your back, and what are you trying to do with that?
Yeah, that's another thing. I feel like the story kind of changes every time I tell it, but the main bits are there. I remember seeing a pamphlet at the aquatic center that Operation Feed had put out. It was on a corkboard, and so I just looked at it. I don't know what it was about the pamphlet, but it was something, and I looked at it, and it had statistics of poverty in Canada compared to poverty in New Brunswick, compared to poverty in St. John, compared to poverty uptown. And by the time you get to those numbers, it's like 1 in 4 kids that live uptown aren't eating either every day, or they're not getting the nutrition they need on a daily basis, or the families aren't able to eat, or they're living under the poverty line, which is insane to me that if I'm on this block, I can afford a sandwich today, but someone on the next block might not have eaten. Like that's just, and I've seen it before. I lived in Los Angeles and it's the same thing. You see where Skid Row starts, like it starts right there. You go from businesses on the street to just blocks of people living in tents. So that really struck me, but that kind of was just in the back of my mind for a while. And then a friend and I don't remember which came first, honestly, the idea or that Bet365 ad where it's saying anything can happen. So go ahead and get addicted to gambling. And the one thing they have is there's a guy running a race with a fridge on his back. And we thought, oh yeah, that's funny. And if I did that, grocery prices are high. maybe I could start a charity called Fill the Fridge, where if I walk around and you fill my fridge, I don't have to buy groceries anymore. But that was just, kind of a toss away joke. And the rest of our night went along. But then there was one night, I don't remember what happened. It was a long day. I didn't feel like cooking. So I went to Burger King at like 1 a.m. And I was on the Burger King at Rossay Ave. So I was in the parking lot across the street. I think it's a Toyota dealership or something. But I was sitting there eating my burger and I saw someone walking down the street with a shopping cart full of stuff. And it was like, the average person is really dealing with a tight wallet all around. But I'm sitting in a car that I paid for in cash that has fuel and insurance that I can pay for. I can clearly afford to go out to eat because I'm in a Burger King at 1 a.m. eating. And this guy's walking down the street with a shopping cart full of stuff. And it just, that, I don't know, that was the kind of nexus of the mental breakdown. But it was like, okay, if I feel brutal about my life and I can still afford everything, then how bad must it be for someone that can't afford almost anything? So and then I think the next day I saw that pamphlet from Operation Feed Again, except it was kind of coming crashing back to me. And kind of to rewind a bit, but I had a friend who was moving out of the city and he was getting rid of a fridge. And I thought, okay, well, that's funny. We joked about making this fridge thing. Here's a fridge, so I'll take it. So I had this fridge and this backpack sitting around for well over a year, but I didn't know what to do with it. I'm also a perfectionist, so I was afraid to try and, if I messed it up, if I messed it up when I was mounting this backpack to this fridge, I either have to go get another backpack or I have to find another fridge. And it's not like hiking bags and fridges just fall out of the sky. So I didn't do anything with it. But then, I don't know, that Burger King thing in like June or July last year, I honestly can't remember when it happened. It might have, I don't know if you knew this, but in June of last year, without the fridge, I walked to St. Martin's and back in a day. So I left uptown at 3 a.m. I got to the Sea Caves at 10. I took a picture of myself in front of that restaurant, and then I walked back to St. John because I had to work the next morning. So I think maybe somewhere in that mental stupor, I was like, oh yeah, the fridge thing, like maybe I should really do something with that. And so I went ahead, I sat down and designed it, built it. It turned out okay. And so that's really, I guess, where it all started.
Wow. I got a lot of questions, like even just practical questions about how you put a fridge and a backpack together. But for the sake of the podcasting and moving it along, I want to know, is this something that's going to be on your heart for a while, or do you think this is one thing for now? Will the fridge thing be going for a while, or is this something that you think will eventually you'll put aside and pick up another cause, or is this really kind of grabbed your heart and your vision for this?
Yeah, I will. I definitely have plans to keep doing this. The goals have kind of evolved as the community has dictated, to be honest. I wasn't, like I said, I quit drinking 3 years ago. And before that, I was kind of just not a menace to society, but I really wasn't doing much. Like it was just, okay, go to work, wake up, do stuff, whatever, go out drinking at night, and then wake up and do it all again the next day. Like I really wasn't doing that much. So it was like, I just wanted to turn a few heads and be a weirdo one day. And people showed so much interest and so much compassion immediately. Like I was in King Square for 5 minutes the first time I went out, and someone was like, "Are you running for mayor? Is this a political stunt?" And it was like, how many mayoral candidates do you think are running around with appliances on their back? Like, no, I'm not running for mayor. I'm just being like strange. I didn't even have writing on the fridge. I just wanted to remind people that the food banks are there. So when you're going to donate to charity, consider the food banks, consider Pulse, consider Romero House, consider Operation Feed, the St. John Community Food Basket. So yeah, I honestly never planned to be in charity or in philanthropy like this. But as people showed interest, I thought, okay, well, this seems like a waste of community cachet, and I've always had projects before that I've got, writing projects, music projects, etc., that never really went anywhere because I'm not a very good self-promoter. I don't really want people like, oh, wow, look at what Jesse wrote. Look at what he did, blah, blah, blah. But with the fridge now, if that's going to produce either money that we can donate to charity or collaborations like this that get the word out both about trail running and about food security, because I really think everything is linked. All the problems, none of the problems we have exist in a vacuum. So it's going to be going on for a while. The original goal was to raise $1,000 for Pulse, but then that turned into I'm either going to raise 10 grand and distribute it or walk 1,000 kilometers. So we just crossed 10 grand at the beer run, so that was huge. That was 8 months, and so it's not gonna. I incorporated with the province this past month. So the next steps are to go through all the paperwork that it takes to register with the CRA to be a federal charity. So there's rules about quorum and board of directors and how the vote structures work and et cetera. So
Yeah.
that's definitely not something I was thinking I would be doing this time last year. But now that it's caught on as it has, I don't see any reason to stop. So I won't be.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So let's talk about the first time our paths crossed. It was at Bootstrap Boogie last year. I was on the beach, and all of a sudden this fridge comes flying by me, and I just remember, oh my goodness, how did I just get passed by a guy carrying a fridge? I was like, what is going on? I can't believe this. It was the most demoralizing thing I've ever gone through. And then, and then I realized what you were trying to do, and I saw the concept of it, and I was like, oh man, that's pretty awesome. And if I remember correctly, I think the door of the fridge was like flying in the wind as you ran by, and so I was like, this is going to be really hard. So could you just even describe what it's like to run on trail carrying a fridge? Like what does that feel like? And I mean, it's hard enough as it is, but to carry extra things, it's tough. So can you describe it a little bit?
Yeah, there's a lot to answer there. So first of all, what I've found with the fridge, it's funny what you say about demoralizing, because the fridge has become a metaphor for a lot of stuff. Like before, people would ask me what was in the fridge and I wouldn't know what to say. And now I say, just full of hope. And it's like really cringy, but it's like, hey, don't ask. But
that's right. That's good. That's a good
the
answer.
metaphor for what you said about demoralizing, it's really, the fridge has become a metaphor for your perspective on life. So you get passed by a guy wearing a fridge. You can't control the actions of others, but you can control your reactions to them. So when you get passed by a fridge, it's totally up to you whether it's, oh, this isn't for me, I think I'll try something else, or time to dig deep and pass that guy wearing the fridge, which happens at every race I've been in. I'll pass people, and then eventually they'll chug by me, and they just want to get beat past the fridge. Got to beat the fridge. So it's like, all right, perfect.
Yeah.
And as far as the door blowing open, yeah. So I never took it anywhere. I only started in September of last year. So when I started doing it, I was walking uptown. That's why it was called Uptown Fridge. I live uptown. I was just walking by businesses at lunch so that all the working professionals or whatever would see me, and all the kids would see me when they were walking around during their lunch break. And then I would go out again between 5 and 8 p.m. for the same reason. People out for dinner would see me. People at events would see me, whatever. So the door I never thought of, because there's wind down at like Harbor Passage, but for the most part, I was just uptown. So it wasn't until Bootstrap Boogie that I got down to the beach and I really caught that Bay of Fundy wind power, and the door immediately flew open. So, Bootstrap for me was actually like 10K, because every step I took forward was 2 steps sideways and then 2 steps back the other way to make sure I wasn't blowing into the trees. So after that race, I had to latch the door so that it'll actually stay closed when I want it to. And as far as running on trails, any of us that have been trail running long enough, you need trail eyes, right? You need to know where your turns are, but you also need to know what your next step is going to be. And that's something I learned at Bootstrap, because the first 3K through the woods was fine. And then the 3K of the beach and back was great. But this was the first like real sanctioned race or run that I had been in. And I had Asked a bunch of people, as you said, so I was feeling pretty confident. And there was this downhill stretch where I just was like, yeah, the race is almost over, whatever, I'm not looking. And my foot caught a root, and I was in the air for about 45 minutes. And I had so much time to reflect. As soon as I tripped, it was like, wow, I was born in 1990, and every decision I've ever made I just come washing
Oh,
over me as
no.
I'm like 6 feet in the air. Yeah, that was luckily there was someone behind me. Hit the ground pretty hard. The fridge basically exploded. The shoulder straps broke, the chest strap broke, everything broke. So I had to well, the pictures of me finishing bootstrap, you can see I'm holding the shoulder strap with both hands over one side because I just had to get the fridge out of the forest, basically. I didn't want to leave it down at Saints Rest. So that was actually
Dude.
a blessing in disguise, believe it or not, because I had a second pack here, which had much more robust shoulder straps. And the hip strap was actually a second unit somehow. Like I don't know how to describe it, but it was separate and kind of just webbed in together. So when I attached it to the fridge, it was actually much more convenient. So that was before bootstrap, and this would also have to do with the physical conditioning of my body, I suppose. But before bootstrap, I could only carry the fridge like 5K, 7K. I remember one day I did 12K by accident because I took the wrong turn when I was heading out east. And I was pretty immobile by the end of it. And I thought, okay, 12K, this seems to be like the limit on what I can do with this thing. But after I had to rebuild it in Bootstrap, it was like, oh, okay, 12K feels fine, 15. The first time I did 20K, I thought, okay, this is more about mental stuff. So yeah, everything. If I didn't fall during Bootstrap, then I probably wouldn't have had everything go as well as it did.
Yeah, so I mean, falling would be pretty bad, but then falling and having a fridge land on top of you would probably not feel that great. But there's good things that came out of it. So then you like doubled that and did Romp and Rockwood this year, which is a very technical course. It is difficult for people who aren't carrying fridges. And again, we saw you there, and I was like, okay, I just gotta stay out of the fridge, just like everyone else. Like we even made like a reel about it. We're like, just stay out of the fridge. And then we're running on Simon Says, and you come flying by, like you're just like booting it as fast as you can early on in the race. And I was like, man, he's gonna burn out. Like that's really quick for 26K or whatever it was. And then, but I never saw you again. I never saw you again until I didn't even see you at the end of the race. Like you were gone. And so what was that like running through Rompin? I mean, it's climbing up like that little goat path, I always call it, up on the Mackay Skyway. Like that is a crazy thing to do with a fridge, I bet.
Yeah. So it seems like I keep trying new stuff. Every time I do one of these SJTR races, it's great, but it's like a disaster at the same time because I had a new running vest. So I had this vest. I was concerned about how much water I could carry. I forgot that I have 2 hydro bladders, which I'm gonna attach one into the fridge so that I just have it on me. But the night before, I had all my water made like I had a carb mix in one, I had this pre-workout mix full of like caffeine and taurine in the other, like I had it all set. But for whatever reason, I thought maybe the weight would be too much. And there was also an aid station. So I left, instead of bringing 2 liters of water, I only brought 1, and I had some running gels. But the reason it was a disaster is because I tripped like 6K into Rockwood, but luckily it was uphill this time, so I didn't have 45 minutes to question everything I've ever done. But one of my water bottles must have gone flying because the way the vest works, it's like 2 bottles in a pocket. It's tight. It's not going anywhere, but one bottle's kind of loose. And I also literally left all my running gels in my other vest. It's like a terrible story when it's like, oh, well, yeah, I left it in my other pants, but I did. So what you said did happen for a bunch of people. Because yeah, I was flying by people at the start, but it was like 15K in when you get off the Harrigan Lake Trail and you get back onto Zoo Trail, and it's a road, it's a gravel road, but it's like 150 meters like straight up. So by the time I got to that
the
hill,
worst.
it was just I had no more water. All my gels were at home, and then it was like another 3K through the forest until the aid station again. So between like K17 and K20, I had multiple people who I had just passed coming up behind me, and I think it froze again. Can you still hear me?
Yep. You're still
Yeah,
good.
okay, good. Sorry, everything's not moving. Yeah, so a bunch of people came by, and somebody would be like, "Do you need running gels? Do you need water?" Like, yes, yes, I need all of your stuff. So
Give me it all.
So I got made fun of pretty hard at the end because it's like, well, Doug Barrett said it best. How does the guy with the fridge run out of food and water? And yeah,
Yeah,
so that
exactly.
definitely happened. And but I also, for whatever reason, for the past like 8 years, I don't really have a capacity for like shame or awkwardness or embarrassment or any of that stuff that really gets in the way of like community and progress, right? It's like if you just get over yourself, then our communities will build more. So anytime someone came up, it was like, food, water, give me all your stuff. So like Nancy gave me a shot of her water. I can't remember his name now. I think Josh or Jeff, I think that Josh gave me something and a Jeff gave me something. And then the aid station came, and you know those videos where someone takes half a watermelon and it's just gone? That was me with all the
Yeah.
watermelon at the aid station. Like, just give me this. I need it. I'm dying, yo. And the papers for Mackay Skyway said it was 1.3, and I was in the middle of somewhere screaming like, "This is so much longer than 1.3K!" Like I was done. Like I remember the other thing to be made fun of. I remember telling people the reason I didn't sign up for 52 was because I get bored. Like I would rather walk 100 kilometers one way than see the same 25K 4 times. But when I got to the
Yeah.
finish line, it was like, no chance. I wasn't doing another 50 feet. Like getting to my parking lot, getting to where I parked took me like 12 minutes as I'm, bow-legged Yosemite Samming it through the parking lot trying to get back to my car. And it was like, there's zero chance I was doing another 26K. So yeah, maybe next
Yeah.
year, but
Yeah.
definitely a lot more training necessary before that.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Oh, that is wild. And listen, we know how that feels. Like there's times when Jeff and I have been like, you can put $1 million on the table. And if we went another round, and we'd be like, no thanks. Like we're done. We've
Yeah.
had enough. So we totally get that feeling. I totally get it. Okay. So if we can shift gears here a little bit again, back to just the whole poverty thing and the whole food insecurity thing. Is there something that you've learned about food insecurity or poverty that people just don't understand? Or is there things about it that like people who haven't had to struggle with that don't know about? Like, is there anything that you've learned as you've kind of raised awareness around it that would really stand out to us?
I guess really just how powerfully it affects your mind. I guess what makes me most infuriated about this journey is how many people see people on the street and they think, well, you're on the street because you're a drug addict, or you're on the street, I don't know, because you're a loser, or it's your fault, or or just blaming the people that don't have the food. Like I think a lot of people don't understand how many drug problems and how many mental health problems and how many self-esteem problems and how much of that stuff develops after the fact. So that's one thing.
Mhm.
Because of course there's people that there's a few individuals who don't want help, and there's a few individuals who it is their fault. But the bulk of things going on are a result of the fact that we live in a so-called democracy in one of the so-called greatest countries on the planet, and yet people are going hungry. I saw a statistic recently that 1 in 10 people in Toronto are using a food bank. And so it's like, okay, well, one of our greatest cities in one of the supposedly greatest countries, and 1 in 10 people are on a food bank. That's rough. The other thing, to be quite honest, is I'm learning stuff, but what I'm mostly learning is that I have way more to learn, and it's really about discussing. So
Mm.
I think a barrier for a lot of people is they don't know what to do. And it's not only that they don't know what to do, but they're embarrassed that they don't know what to do. It's like, well, what am I supposed to do? You can only give so much money, right? I mean, You might donate to the Heart and Stroke because someone in your family was affected by heart disease. You might donate to the Cancer Society because somebody you know has been affected by cancer. And let's be honest, all of us in some way have been affected by heart disease, by cancer, by this, by that. So people, it's hard to get out of that framework of, okay, I can donate money, but I don't have much, and I could volunteer my time, but I don't have much, because a lot of people are struggling with time and money and food anyway. So I guess just the fact that it's all connected. Like when you see someone on the street and you think, oh, that's tough, I'm going to go back to my problems. Like your problems are the problems of that guy on the street. And both of those problems are the problems of the woman who's trying to find somewhere to leave a domestic abuse situation. And those problems are the same as someone who doesn't have any of those problems, but they can't find affordable housing right now. So they're living like we did 100 years ago, or in other countries where you have multiple generations in the same house. Like there's no problems out there that aren't a class issue. So what I've learned about the food is it's not poor people versus us. Like we're all poor right now. Like if you're making like if you're making less than $1 million, like you're poor. And all this stuff, the algorithm and the billionaires want us to think it's an issue of race, or it's an issue of gender or sexuality, or of immigration. All these things that we get told, like that's not it. All the issues are a class issue. All of this is this plutocracy, oligarchy, dictating everything we do, and turning the poor against the poor, so that we're pointing the fingers at each other instead of pointing the fingers at everyone that's actually causing all these problems.
Okay, I want to wrap it up with this question. Let's say there's someone who wants to get involved with an issue in their community. So let's say, there's, maybe it's not poverty, maybe it's something else. Insert whatever issue that they feel burdened for. But they feel like any contribution they would make is too insignificant. They're too small to make a difference. Do you have any advice or words of encouragement for people like that who just, this is such a big issue, but I feel like it's something I need to address? What should I do? Do you have any encouragement or any words of wisdom for them?
Yeah. First of all, there's no insignificant contribution. Whether it's you volunteer once somewhere, doing something once. I mean, I was coming back from the east side with the fridge one day, and I was coming up Waterloo Street, and there was a guy with a woman holding a kid. There was a toddler walking, and they had a toddler in a stroller. And the guy gave me like $2.55. Like he gave me a toonie, 2 quarters, and a nickel. And it's like, you're on Waterloo Street and you clearly have 3 kids, and you're giving me $2.55 to help out for your community. So nothing is insignificant. This started with no direction. Like all I wanted to do was make a small statement of, hey, let's have a conversation. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anyone. I didn't even know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing. That's why I do stuff like this podcast. I'm kind of rambling now because it's hard to quantify the fact that anything help, and you don't have to know what you're doing either. Everyone needs anything that is worthy of a cause needs time and attention. So really, if you can spare the time, if you can get out of that concept of I don't have time, there's lots of time as long as it's prioritized, and there's no insignificant contribution, because I just started walking around with a fridge, no direction, no social media, no writing on the fridge. Like one of the first things, I had a woman come up to me the first day and she said, well, if I knew where it was going, I would give you $100 right now. Like if I knew it was going to go to Pulse or Operation Feed or this, then I would give it to you. So I went and talked to the people at Pulse, and I went and talked to the people at St. John the Baptist, and I spoke to Patrick Gordon at Operation Feed. And then that put me on another direction. I met more people, which put me on another direction. So it's kind of counterintuitive because there's no big broad brushstroke that anyone can do. Unless you have $1 billion, there's nothing you can do specifically in the moment that right there is going to affect change. But all change comes from these incremental steps where this first step might seem totally directionless and isn't doing very much, but it is doing more than nothing. And that's the thing. The next time you go to do something, you'll remember what you did before and you can build on that. And so it's really just about small incremental change. The concept of we need to do something huge and amazing right now is nonsense. It's really find one thing, talk to one person, make one little change, and then everything, if you keep at it, will build from there.
Yeah, that's good advice. That's good advice. Jeffy, you got anything you want to throw in there before we wrap up?
Not a lot. I was going to talk a little bit about Rockwood and how I never saw him again either. And I hoped that I would, because actually you ran past me with so much energy. I was like, yes, all right, let's go. And so that was just really cool. I didn't feel defeated like Brandon did when you ran past me. I was just used to it by that point. I was like, whatever. Everyone passes me. It's all good. But yeah, no, that's very cool. And I think it's awesome what you're doing. And whatever way we could help spread the word, we'll do that. But because I agree, it's the small steps that make a big difference in a lot of ways. So,
all right, Jesse, let's just finish off the interview by giving you a chance to just share, how can people donate to Uptown Fridge? How can they be involved? How can they find out more about what you're doing?
If people want to help me directly, they can send e-transfers to what'swiththefridge@gmail.com. Or if you see me in person, you can give me cash. Or if you, something I haven't really mentioned is I've been counting honks. So if you ever see me walking around Uptown, East Side, West Side, and you honk, then I've been counting that, and I've been donating money myself for the honks. And I never really made that clear because it was like, whatever. But if you don't want to give your money to a weirdo with a fridge because I'm not yet registered as a charity, then I hope people will support all the groups that I was raising awareness for in the first place. So Operation Feed, Pulse, Romero House, the food banks, the St. John Community Food Basket, because that's really what it is. I mean, I set out to support them. Back to the other question you had asked about what can people do, little steps. June 6th and 7th from 10 to 2, Pulse is helping to clean up the community gardens at Rainbow Park. So they're doing a revitalization process to get all that ready for the new season. Yeah, really, at this point, it started out about food security, and it's becoming more of a larger community project about philanthropy and community supporting local business, supporting local food sovereignty. So, start growing vegetables at home if you can, even if it's like a little pod in a window. Anything, anytime, anywhere, anyone wants to do anything where it doesn't have to necessarily even be about food security. This has really become a much larger project about community security and the fact that we can no longer depend on the usual the food companies, the grocery stores looking out for us. It's like, no, they're not. We got to look out for ourselves. So if they want to support me specifically, what'swiththefridge@gmail.com, but let's all just be supporting each other, really.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. That's a great spot to end it. Thanks so much, Jesse, for being on the show. We really appreciate you, man.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity.
All right, Jeff. That was our conversation with Jesse, man. What a wild dude, eh? I mean, you got to be a little bit wild to be able to pull off running trail races with a fridge on your back, right? Like, I didn't quite know what we were getting into, but you got to expect the unexpected with this guy, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciated his description of himself when he was like the crazy guy with the fridge, because that is what I initially thought of him when I saw him. It's funny because he really took me by surprise this last weekend at Rockwood Park, because at Bootstrap Boogie, lots of people wear costumes to win the costume prize, right? Like, there's all kinds of costumes. And so guy running with a fridge, I just thought, I'd never seen him on Instagram. I didn't know he was a thing until, because I'm not from the St. John community, so I don't get a lot of that stuff on my Instagram or anything. I thought he was just a dude running with a fridge to try to win the costume money.
Right.
and then he shows up at Rockwood Park, and I'm like, this guy's back again? What's he doing here? And then obviously we found out as someone mentioned that he was raising awareness for food insecurity. So anyway,
Yeah.
he caught me off guard at Rockwood, and that we talked to him a brief little bit at the beginning there, and then I didn't even recognize him tonight because he has his beard all shaved off, looking all
I know it.
dapper and good to go. Like I thought, geez. Anyway, so yeah, the
Yeah,
crazy
that's
guy
right.
with the fridge is a apt description, I guess.
It's interesting because this is something that's, close to you and I. Like, we both have a soft spot for food insecurity and that sort of stuff, because you and I both are connected with Jamie Hall, who runs Catapult and Outflow. So
Yeah.
Outflow is based on Waterloo Street in my old home church, actually. And so it's something that you and I have both been involved with and have both been donated towards and that sort of thing. And so it's interesting and I just want to share this quick story. Is he was talking about seeing someone give this, like, the $2.55 or whatever towards the issue. I think one of the things that we need to understand when it comes to dealing with people and homelessness and poverty and that sort of thing is that it's not just like us coming in and helping someone. We actually get something out of it as well. Like, we benefit from that as well. I remember my first interactions with people who were experiencing homelessness when I was like in grade 6. My dad was the minister at Waterloo Street, and we had like a meal for homeless people or people who were struggling with food security every month. And it was awful, Jeff. Like, it was really hard at first. And I was like, man, this room smells funny. These people are weird, and it wasn't what I was exposed to. I wasn't what I was used to. But then you start spending time with them and you really build some amazing relationships. And you start to realize, yeah, like, some of these people have had a hard deal in life. Some of them, they have problems and they don't want to deal with them. And others, you just recognize they just got a raw deal. And so it's one of those things that it's not just us helping someone, we actually receive when we do that too. And I think that's an important posture to take, because it can just seem kind of holier than thou and dropping some money in a basket or whatever. But real relationships are what helps create some of that change. And I think that's kind of the part where a lot of us are a little scared to get into. But it's good for him to start raising awareness about that sort of thing. It's a big issue. Like, and it's only getting bigger, right? Like, it's not changing anytime soon.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, you see it here in Farton and Moncton and St. John and even smaller communities, right? And for me, like, we are connected through Outflow and what Jamie's doing downtown, but I always looked at it too, like, when I was younger, like, I thought, man, I couldn't do what Jamie does on the side of the road, just talking to people and doing what he does, right? I always
Yeah.
had a lot of respect for Jamie and the way that he operated himself in those environments. But it also took me a long time to realize as a young person that we didn't all start on third base and trip on the foul line right on our way home, right? Like, some
Right.
people really did get a raw deal, and some of us were given a little bit better chance maybe to be successful. And so, yeah, it's sometimes it takes you a long time to realize stuff like that. And so, wasn't
Yeah.
really until later in life that you realize, or that I realized, that, well, yeah, maybe this isn't always everyone's fault. So we need to do things that, that help, even if it's just something small or just being involved in something to help move it forward. And because, some of the things Jesse said is not 100% wrong. Like, it's crazy to think that we live in one of the most richest countries in the world, and the amount of wealth that is in this country, and then to have people going to school hungry every day.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, though, to go to the point that he said about how small things make a difference. Like, so Outflow started with hot dog carts.
Right.
So Jamie and Phil were selling hot dogs from a hot dog vending machine on, at nighttime when the bars were letting out. And that's how Outflow started. And it's, grown from there to include, affordable housing units, and as well as the coffee shop and the shelter and all that sort of stuff, the farm that they've got. I mean, so just talk about, how something can start small. I think they're a good example of that as well too. And so
We
it's
should
one
get
of those.
Jamie out to a trail race someday, and then have him on the show. That'd be something, eh?
That would be fantastic. I think Jamie thinks his life is hard enough. I don't think he needs to throw any more things into it.
Hey man,
which
he's
is
had a midlife
true.
crisis lately and got himself into some pretty good shape. So he'd
Yeah, it's
probably
true.
be just fine on a trail.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, he would be so thrilled that you noticed too. He'd be so
I
excited.
noticed.
that
I
you-
told him last time I saw him, I was like, Jamie, what is going on? Can I have some of what's in your needles, bud? Like I teased him about being on testosterone, and he didn't like that too much because he didn't understand. He didn't. Well, the joke didn't land the way I expected because of his experience.
right. Yeah, it's different kind of needles.
I was
Yeah.
talking about testosterone. He was thinking of other things. Anyway, I was like, oh no. Anyway, but then I
That's
think he
too
was a little annoyed with me that I thought he had cheated and not just worked hard. So anyway.
He would.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
it was great. It was great hearing Jesse talk about his own perspective on how things have gone, and it's just been a really fun edition, as well as like a special edition. I know St. John Trail Running made a big donation to help with his efforts as well, and so it's kind of a cool element, and it just goes to show what kind of community trail running is now, where you're like not that surprised to see someone with a giant fridge on their back when they show up at a trail race. You're like, oh yeah, that's just the fridge guy. Yeah,
Just our fridge guy. Yeah,
just our fridge guy. So whether you got a
Everyone
fridge
needs a
on,
fridge
yeah, whether you got your fridge on or whether you're just trying to make it through the trails, carrying your own load, we're glad that you took some time to listen, and thank you for being a part of the discussion. And keep on chasing the trails.
Chasing trails, let's go. We die. Maps all scribbles, lines run wild. Wrong turn, right turn, same big smile. Fear says careful, body says no. Hands leak safety. It's time to go. What if this is the moment? What if we don't look back? Both feet over the edge. Now one loud breath and we attack. Head first into the unknown. I wanna find out. I wanna find out. Head first into the chasing trails. Yeah. Chasing trails, yeah. Every mud pit, every stone, we're gonna run and leave it all on the road. Feel it. Arms wide open till the dog gets broken. Head first down the single trail. Chasing trails, let's go. We die, we die. Heads up, pausing, chasing trails. It's about to begin.